Welcome back to Jawa Recaps. Today, we're diving into the unsettling mystery called Noise 2023. When a young father moves back into his childhood home, he stumbles upon dark family secrets and a past that refuses to stay buried. The deeper he digs, the louder the echoes of the truth become, and soon, the noise threatens to consume him completely. The story begins with a chilling and tragic scene by a quiet pond. A woman slowly walks into the water, carrying her infant child in her arms. As she steps further in, her husband rushes toward her, shouting in panic, trying to stop her. But he's too late. She disappears beneath the surface, and the screen cuts to black. It's a haunting beginning that sets the tone for everything that follows. The story jumps forward several years. We now meet Matthias, a social media influencer who has moved to the countryside with his partner, Liv, and their newborn son, Julius. The house they've settled in once belonged to Matthias's father, Paul, and is located near the same pond where the film's tragic opening took place. Matthias and Liv had been living in the city, but he grew overwhelmed by the constant noise and chaos. Craving peace, he chose to relocate to his childhood village. Given the film's title, Noise, this move is symbolic. He's trying to escape the world's loud distractions, unaware of the mental noise brewing inside him. At first, things seem promising. Liv, who's passionate about cooking, starts focusing on her catering dreams. Julius's arrival brings joy, and the family settles into a quiet routine. But soon, the silence begins to crack. Julius cries constantly, especially at night, and Matthias is the one who usually gets up to calm him. Over time, the crying begins to affect him deeply. Even when the baby is asleep, Matthias hears phantom cries in his ears. These sounds start to wear him down mentally, though he keeps it to himself. Liv's brother, Tima, visits often and brings warmth to the household. One day he gives Liv something thoughtful, lifting her spirits briefly. But beneath the surface, tension is growing, especially within Matthias, who can't seem to silence the noise one hears. A few days later, while at home, Matthias and Liv notice an old man standing silently near the pond outside. As the camera lingers, we learn it's Paul, Matthias's father, who has wandered away from a nearby nursing home. Paul's mental health has been declining, and he now struggles with memory and confusion. Seeing him there, Matthias and Liv rush outside and speak with him. During the conversation, Paul repeatedly mentions someone named Michelle and tells them how much she loved the pond. So much so that he dug it himself in front of the house just for her. Liv looks puzzled. Until now, she didn't know much about Matthias's mother. It becomes clear Michelle, the woman from the film's opening scene, was Paul's wife and Matthias's mother, and she had taken her own life in that very pond. After spending some time with Paul, Matthias decides to walk him back toward the nursing home. Along the way, Paul keeps repeating the same lines, murmuring that he knows every path, every stone, as if the area still lives in his memory. Then, unexpectedly, he stops in front of an old abandoned building. It's a long-forgotten factory. Paul grows quiet, then solemnly tells Matthias. There was an accident, but no one ever talked about it. So many things were buried. His words are vague, but something about the way he says them lingers with Matthias. A mystery begging to be uncovered. Back on the path home, Matthias doesn't think much of it at first. But something about the factory sticks with him. As he passes by it again on foot, he notices a few strangers slipping inside through a side entrance. Curious, he snaps a quick photo and later posts it online, asking his followers if they'd like him to investigate the place further. The response is overwhelmingly positive. That night, feeling inspired, Matthias begins his research. He learns the factory has been shut down for years and that his father once worked there. But the reasons behind the closure remain unclear. No official reports, no explanations. It's just forgotten. And that silence only fuels Matthias's curiosity. He's not sure what happened there, but he's ready to find out. That same day, Liv visits the town market to prepare her business cards. She's planning to start her own food business. While exploring local options, she meets Brenda, a shop owner who instantly recognizes her. Brenda knows both Paul and Matthias, and it's clear she's aware of their complicated past. Liv admits she doesn't know much about Matthias's family history. Brenda then reveals that she was once close friends with Michelle, Matthias's mother. But over time, Michelle changed. She grew distant and eventually cut off contact. Brenda doesn't go into too much detail, but her tone is heavy, hinting at something tragic. Meanwhile, Matthias is becoming obsessed with the factory. Every waking moment is consumed by it. He convinces himself that people must have died there and that the truth was buried, that his father lost his job and his mind because of a hidden disaster. Matthias reads old articles suggesting the factory leaked dangerous chemicals causing breathing problems and skin diseases in the nearby community. He believes that's why it was shut down and no one ever talked about it. Liv becomes increasingly concerned. She gently suggests that Matthias focus on something else, maybe take a break. But Matthias insists that his father wants him to uncover the truth. And Liv, worried but supportive, doesn't push any further. Matthias shares his theories with Tima, who eventually agrees to visit the factory with him. They explore the place together, and inside Matthias finds an old logbook and the decaying body of an animal. These discoveries only deepen his suspicion. Something dangerous happened here and it's been kept quiet. Back home, Matthias begins to feel something is off about the house itself. Every time he goes into the basement, he senses something strange, as if something is lurking beneath the ground. At the same time, Julius continues crying, and Matthias still hears phantom wails even when the house is silent. The relentless noise begins to unravel his sanity. He grows irritable and aggressive. Small things set him off, and arguments with Liv become frequent. Liv is confused and scared. She can't understand what's happening to the man she once knew. But the truth is, Matthias is slowly slipping into madness. Desperate for answers, Liv visits Brenda again and finally hears the full story. Years ago, when Matthias was just a baby, Michelle tried to drown both herself and her son. Paul arrived just in time to save Matthias, but not Michelle. From that moment, everything changed. Matthias grew up without a mother's love, and Paul was never the same again, slowly descending into mental instability himself. Now Liv begins to wonder if the same darkness has returned. This time in Matthias. One day while Matthias is home alone, he hears strange noises coming from the basement. Curious and unsettled, he goes downstairs and what he sees leaves him frozen. He swears the floor is breathing. Whether it's real or just another hallucination, we don't yet know, but it clearly shakes him to the core. Increasingly obsessed, Matthias begins visiting Paul more frequently, trying to piece together any hidden truths about the factory. When he asks his father about a map of the site, Paul suggests he might find one in the attic of the old house. That evening, Matthias rummages through dusty old boxes and does in fact uncover a factory blueprint. He takes it back to Paul, who carefully walks him through every detail. Meanwhile, Liv grows more concerned. Matthias now stays up all night studying the map, watching videos, and digging through records. She tries talking to him, but he ignores her completely. To her horror, things take a darker turn when Matthias begins seeing visions. Ghostly figures he believes are the facto's forgotten victims. Based on his research, he's convinced at least 15 people died there and that the truth was covered up. He makes it his mission to expose everything, but the weight of it all begins to crush him. Even ordinary sounds begin to torment him. One evening when Paul innocently offers him food, the sound of his father chewing becomes unbearable. Matthias storms out in frustration. Later that night, he lashes out again, this time at Liv, throwing food and shouting during dinner. Liv, shocked by his violent outburst, grabs Julius, sets him beside Matthias, and leaves the house to stay with a friend. Alone and unstable, Matthias's mind slips further. That night, Julius starts crying and everything becomes a blur. The baby's wailing grows louder in his head until it's all he can hear. Lights distorted. The world spins. Matthias sits frozen in the chaos, trapped in his own mind. The next day, Liv returns home and finds Matthias sitting silently on the stairs, tears streaming down his face. She gently wraps her arms around him, trying to reach whatever part of him is still holding on. In that moment, she realizes just how far things have spiraled and how truly serious his condition has become. Realizing she can't handle this alone, Liv calls Timmy. Together, they try speaking to Matthias, gently asking if something is bothering him, if there's anything he needs to share. But Matthias remains silent, then erupts in anger, shouting at Timmy to leave. Over the next few days, Matthias becomes fully consumed by his investigation. He posts regular videos about the factory, convinced he's on the verge of exposing something huge. His mind is so fixated there's no space left for anything else, not even his family. Tima, concerned by the videos, starts watching closely. Matthias seems unstable, more paranoid with every post. Then one day, things spiral publicly. Liv is out of the house and Matthias is recording a new video. Julius is crying in the background loudly and persistently, but Matthias doesn't respond. The noise overwhelms him and instead of comforting his son, he collapses to the floor in distress, writhing in frustration. His followers witness the breakdown live. Some are horrified, others unfollow him immediately. Timmy alerts Liv right away. The next day, Matthias returns to the factory alone, determined to find answers. Inside, the silence feels crushing. He hears footsteps behind him and, gripped by panic, assumes someone is trying to attack him. Without thinking, he strikes the victim approaching, only to discover too late that it was Tima. Wounded and unconscious, Tima collapses. Matthias, shocked and terrified, flees home without telling anyone. At home, Matthias acts like nothing happened. He even tries cooking dinner, but the food is inedible. Another sign of his fading grip on reality. Meanwhile, Liv visits Paul at the nursing home. When he sees her in one of Michelle's old dresses, he mistakes her for his late wife. He breaks down apologizing for not being able to save her but says he was able to save Matthias. Liv, shaken, asks to see Michelle's medical records. That's when everything becomes clear. Michelle suffered from a severe mental illness. She used to hear voices and was eventually driven to take her own life and almost took Matthias with her. She believed drowning was the only way to escape the noise. Now Liv realizes that Matthias has inherited the same condition. The hallucinations, paranoia, even the obsession with the factory. It wasn't the factory itself. It was always inside him. Paul may have mentioned the factory out of confusion, but Matthias believed it all as truth. Realizing how dangerously far things have gone, Liv rushes home. She arrives to find that Matthias has broken through the basement floor. A pipe has burst and water is leaking everywhere. He's completely lost in his delusion, convinced there are bodies buried beneath and that he must save them. Liv pleads with him to stop, but he won't listen. Like Michelle, Matthias is ready to give himself to the water. Just in time, Paul arrives and pulls his son to safety. Later, Timmy is also found and rescued. In the final scenes, we see Matthias receiving psychiatric treatment. He sits quietly, occasionally staring out at the pond, the same one where everything began. Liv and Julius remain by his side. Despite all that's happened, a small, fragile family holds on. And with that, today's recap of the film called Noise comes to an end. If you uncovered disturbing secrets about your family's past, would you keep searching for the truth, or stop before it destroys you? Let me know. Share your thoughts in the comments, hit like, subscribe to Jawa Recaps, and share this video with your friends who love a good scare.